the changes in the actual weather conditions, it used to broadcast, right? So basically, in the winters, what kind of weather it is, and basically what was the purpose of doing all this? Why was it actually reporting all this? Because it was assisting the farmers to protect their crops from fruits from frost. So, if it was able to report the weather conditions properly, then the farmers will basically get the decision in time that it is basically a frost situation which is going to happen in the next few days, or it's basically going to freeze. So they can actually protect their farm by, or they can protect their fruit by taking some preventive measure. So it was basically kind of assistance to the fruit farmers to protect their crops from fruit from frost. So it was basically using some satellite facility in order to fetch the real time data, like meteorological data. So it was capturing some meteorological data, and it was reporting it back to the headquarters so that it can be broadcasted to the concerned relevant people, and basically the farmers, so that the fruit farmers can protect their crop from frost. So this was an important expert system which was developed in United States, and it was basically used for making some predictions about the weather conditions. And then the last one, decision support system for agriculture. This is a general expert system basically. Its short form is DSS4AG. So it's basically an intelligent system which uses very high level artificial intelligence techniques. So it was a general expert system, but it was a very high level AI, artificially intelligent system. It used various intelligent computing techniques to make optimum decisions, and the application over here was mainly helping the farmers to decide that how much fertilizer they should put in their fields. So it was mainly the application was to decide that how much fertilizer the farmer should put in their field. But actually it was a general decision support system, and it was using very high level artificial intelligence techniques. So it was and it basically these decisions could actually affect the economy of the farmer also, because farmers, if they may not afford a particular crop, or if they may not basically afford a particular fertilizer, then it will tell them that how much fertilizer is actually required, and after this it's not actually required for your crop. So they may purchase an optimum amount of fertilizer only. They may not purchase an amount of fertilizer which is not required. So that can help them save some money. So in that way, it is basically a decision support system for agriculture, which is mainly targeted for constraining the usage of fertilizers in the field. So these are the different these are the different expert systems which are used in agriculture field. And then there is basically one case study of a Cytex expert system. So as the name suggests, Cytex means it's basically derived from the name is actually named after citrus fruits. Okay, so basically it is an expert system which was developed for orange production. So citrus fruits mainly. So for oranges, there was a study which was done, and this expert system was developed, and its main objectives, basically its main purpose for development was, it had some few objectives. For example, it was doing the farm evaluation for the oranges, right? For example, is this farm good for growing citrus fruits or not? So it was basically evaluating the farm which is having good growing conditions or not. So it was meant for evaluating the farm whether it is good for growing some citrus fruits or not. Because if you want to grow a citrus fruit, it is not that the soil conditions are same. You need some different soil conditions for growing a citrus fruit. So it will evaluate that soil or the terrain conditions basically. So and at the same time provide some advice also, that how to better the growing conditions. So that is farm evaluation which was done. Then planning the irrigation schedule. So planning the irrigation schedule means how much amount of water is required at some particular point of time. So all these things, like how much it will calculate that how much amount of water is required to be fed into the field, and how much is the drainage system supporting. So if your drainage is not very good, then the water will not drain easily. So that means that you should basically, while putting water in the field, you should take into account that the what is the quality of your or your efficiency rate of your drainage system. So it takes into account that also, and then plans an optimum amount of water to be put in the fields. And then fertilization schedule also, it could plan the fertilization schedule also, basically the type of fertilizer you should put, how much fertilizer you should put, how it will be applied, and after how many time gaps it will be applied, the fertilizer would be put in the field. So all these things were taken care of by this expert system. And then this is also there, disorganization diagnosis. So this is one term which is basically telling you that it would basically this expert system was basically making conclusion about the some complaint also received from users. So if it was receiving some complaints from the users, it was taking action. Basically it was analyzing that complaint, that why this kind of complaint came. That means complaint in the sense that its decision was not correct or what. So basically it had a learning capability which could basically it could improve itself also. And it could, and other thing was it could check whether the assumption of the user that this disorder is there in the is true or not, basically. So some user is telling that this particular soil is having some disorder and it is not good for growing oranges. So it will check whether this assumption of the user is true or not. So it will basically check whether the assumption of the user regarding, and one more thing, it will also check whether if some user is reporting that your decision is wrong, the expert system gave some decision, suppose, and some user is reporting that this decision was wrong, then it will not just say that okay this is wrong. It will just analyze that why the user is saying, and it will check whether the user is saying correct or not. So it will so basically it will verify that those things also. And generally a plant can be infected by multiple disorders at the same time. It can be possible that if the user is saying that this plant or this orange is having this disorder, then it may be true, may not be true. Or it may be the case that that is also true, and whatever the system is also suggesting the disorder, that is also true, because a plant can have multiple disorders. So it is not the case that the expert system is wrong. So at that time it will check whether the user is having whatever disorder he is suggesting in the orange, that is true or not. So it will check whether it is true or not, because a plant can be infected by multiple disorders. So it can be possible that whatever the user is suggesting, that disorder is also true, and whatever the expert system is suggesting, that disorder is also true. So that's why it will verify. And then the disorder treatment also it does. So it's basically whatever plants are infected, suppose an orange plant is infected with a certain disease, it will basically suggest some treatment also to that particular disorder. So this was for oranges, and we also, it's not mentioned in my slides here, but actually there was another expert system which we use, which we call as Tomatex, Tomatex. Just like Cytex, we write Tomatex. So Tomatex was developed for tomato production. So this is for orange production, and it was used to help for everything related to oranges, like planning the irrigation schedule, planning the fertilization schedule, and then managing the disorders. So all this was done for oranges. And then we had for tomatoes also. So that expert system was specifically developed for tomatoes, and it was called as Tomatex. So these were the expert systems which were used in agriculture, and then we had some expert systems which were used in environmental management also. So these expert systems were used for first one. There were two categories basically: an expert system for environmental compliance auditing. So this was mainly used for monitoring environmental pollution. So if there is an environmental pollution, it will basically check that process of how much impact that pollution will make, and it will formulate a database management system for environment, that how much impact it's having. So it will basically audit the progress of how much impact that is having, and it will build a database also. So and it will just analyze the consequences also, that what consequences this particular pollution pollution, or if it's some particular kind of smoke or some particular kind of chemical, then how it will damage the environment. So it will do an analysis and build up a database also. So it is used for auditing the environmental, that it is whether your particular, suppose there is an industry, right? Let us say there is an industry and it is manufacturing something. Now in the manufacturing process, for example, it's a sugar industry and it's manufacturing sugar. So in that manufacturing process, let us say in the sugar factory it is releasing some gases, right? Now those gases may be poisonous gases or they may be harmful gases. So what environmental impact do they have? So it will basically audit that industry, that sugar plant, and it will see that how much it is having the impact on the environment, and it will basically build a database of knowledge of how much impact it's actually having. And it will verify that to what extent it is complying with the environmental protection standards. So there could be some protection standards which are there, so it will match with them and see whether this particular industry or this particular sugar plant is having that compliance or not. So this is a basically, then we have hybrid expert systems. Hybrid expert systems are basically the expert systems which can actually target any application. But the main thing about hybrid expert systems is that they use a mixture of forward reasoning and backward reasoning approaches. So as I told you, expert system is mainly, anything can be an expert system. The main thing, or you can say the crux of an expert system, is the expert system shell. So expert system shell is basically your inference engine, which is the main logic of your program. So that main logic of the program can come from any AI technique. It can be any heuristic search technique. It can be any machine learning based technique, because machine learning also comes under AI only, right? So basically that hybrid expert system is what, your reasoning approach can be anything. It could be a forward reasoning approach, it could be a backward reasoning approach, or it could be a mix of that. So basically in hybrid expert systems, we generally take a integration of forward, as I told you in the last class, there is forward reasoning. We also sometimes denote it as a forward chaining system, and backward reasoning sometimes we denote it as a backward chaining system, right? So it's basically hybrid expert systems are a mix of forward and backward chaining systems. So this diagram which you are seeing is a high term, is basically a diagram for the high term project. It was basically a project which was named as high term, and it was just an international project which was done mainly in Europe, not in India. And it was just a main incentive was to get the high level performance. So there was some corporate networks and some data sources, like servers were there, some data was located at the servers, and then some message gateways. And there was just these, through these message gateways we used to just obtain the required and relevant data for different applications. So it's like a search engine kind of a thing. So this project was basically um, using the concepts of geographic information system also, right? Because in this you were using basically simulating, or you can say modeling some things. There were some agents which were the data sources, and that was basically categorized as your corporate network. And through the gateways, through the message gateways, the data was basically, relevant data was extracted, and then it was basically used by different applications, right? So message manager was managing different applications which were requiring different data. So the different data was basically captured through these different servers, which were nothing but the data sources for you. So through the some corporate networks you were getting the data which was required, and the data was coming to the message to this applications through the gateways. So there was a mobile link between the message manager and the message gateways, and through that you will be basically capturing the data. So it's nothing but a data retrieval application. So that was basically part of the high term project, like how you are managing your data, how you are extracting the data. That was done by this high term project. So nothing much here. The only thing here is that hybrid expert systems were also developed which used both mixture of forward and backward reasoning. And like if you remember, we had done in the when we were doing heuristic search techniques, I had told you a technique which we call as means ends analysis. So if you remember means ends analysis, in that means ends analysis, I was telling you that it is a mixture of forward and backward reasoning. So same here, hybrid expert system, maybe some hybrid expert system is using means ends analysis technique only. That's why we are calling that it's a that's why we are calling it as hybrid, because it may be using forward and backward both. So basically it may be based on the means ends analysis technique only. So it is based whatever techniques we have studied, right? Whatever techniques we have studied, students, till now, like I have taken heuristic search techniques in much details. We have studied many heuristic search techniques, right? So actually any of those heuristic search techniques you can apply for developing an expert system also, right? Because they are intelligent searching techniques, and the inference engine of an expert system actually is built upon some intelligent searching technique. So that intelligent searching technique can be any technique. It can be a heuristic search technique like A star algorithm. It can be a minimax game playing algorithm, minimax search. It can be the best first search. Anything basically can build up that inference engine. Or otherwise, if you are not using the heuristic search techniques, it can be any machine learning based technique also. So that could build an expert system shell. So these were different applications of expert systems. Anything which you want to ask here, students? After this, I'll show you an example, a live example of or you can say a proposed some portal. I will show you. That portal is a proposed portal, and it's the latest one. And that is just an example of an expert system. Just I want to show you that how it looks like. So, is it anything you want to ask here, students? Anything to discuss? So students, if there is nothing, can I go ahead and show you that portal just to show you an example of a live expert system? Can I move ahead? Okay, fine. So students, this was some things which are there in all your textbooks, right? Fine, thank you. So these are some things which are there in your textbook. Up till now, up till this slide, like knowledge acquisition process of an expert system and these different applications. Up till this, you will find in in all textbooks. These are some things which Mycin also, all these also which are traditional expert systems. These are something related to agriculture which I have added just to tell you about what is going on recently, because your textbook Rich and Knight was actually written 20 years back, right? So it is basically you can say the information in your textbook about expert systems is not up to date, because many new expert systems are also being used these days. So that is why I've added these some more examples. And now I want to basically, I just don't want all theoretical matters, so I've taken some snapshots. I'll show you some snapshots. So basically, I was telling you about agriculture, right? So agriculture is the most popular application these days for expert systems. So this is one of my projects only. I just wanted to show you just to help you understand that what is the actual meaning of an expert system, so that you don't think that expert system is something like something different, and it's very different from your normal course of work. It's not like that. So basically, I just want to clarify the thing that expert system is something which you can also develop. It's just a software, right? So that is why I have taken some snapshots from one of my projects. This was a project which was submitted to Government of India for funding, and this got approved also. So that is basically a project which is agriculture application only. The main aim of this project was that we wanted to recommend crops, right? So the crop recommendation was the application for this project, and this was the study area was Rajasthan. So we actually, what we want in this project is we want to recommend, as I was telling you, that in agriculture whatever we want is to help the farmers, right? So what we want for the farmers is that we want them to grow a correct crop, right? We want them to grow a good crop depending upon their farm. So sometimes farmers don't have appropriate knowledge, right? So they actually, and depending upon their farm conditions, they don't know which crop is best for them. They may have some idea, but they may not have an expert idea. So there actually we can use artificial intelligence techniques. So the techniques which I have used here, that also I will tell, but this is just a portal, how it will look like. This is just the GUI of that, and through this GUI only, through this GUI you can understand that what is actually an expert system doing. So what you can do here is, the name we actually gave it, just a name, Cropsys Agritech Portal Paidawar. So what was it taking as an input? So it was taking the location Rajasthan as an input. So district name you could select, for example, Hanumangarh. Suppose somebody selects Hanumangarh, and the farmer could actually upload the image. So here is a browse button, right? So the farmer could actually upload the image of his farm, okay? And now if he wants, if he is a layman, he doesn't understand the factors for crop growing, then he may not select also. But otherwise, what is the options also we are giving, like soil type, labor, planting equipment, rainfall, temperature, soil pH, season, water source. So all these are basically the factors which are affecting the crop growth. Okay, so farmer can select on which factors does he want the prediction, right? So he can select the factors, he can choose them, he can just tick them, and whatever he ticks, that will be the factors which will be considered for the prediction, right, for the recommendation. And then some major crops in his district is shown on the left hand side. If you see that yellow box, so that yellow box is basically the list of some crops which grow in the district of that farmer, depending upon the district which he has chosen. So he is writing Hanumangarh. So based on Hanumangarh, it is already writing that these are, the software is telling that these are the crops which are grown. But then it is based upon the factors. So it's based upon these factors. And the farmer is going to upload the image. So if you consider your expert system architecture, this is nothing but your user interface, right? So this is your user interface where the farmer is working on this interface and uploading the image of the farm, right? Now we come to the next snapshot. So here what is happening, he has selected some factors based on which the recommendation will be made, right? And he has uploaded the image of his farm. Now actual thing is happening. Now what is happening is the actual calculations are done. So this is basically your inference engine, right? So what is happening here is, just see the left hand side Excel sheet and the right hand side Excel sheet. So there is a table on both sides. So basically what is happening here is, if you see the table on the right hand side, on the left hand side also, what is happening over here is, there are certain default values of the crop growing factors, right? For example, if I want to grow rice, just an example I'm giving. For example, if I want to grow rice, then rice grows in, it requires actually very much water, right? And the season is kharif for that. Temperature it requires is 22 degree to 32 degree. So there are some ideal values of rainfall, of soil pH, of temperature, that what are the ideal values required for rice to grow. So we have stored that in a database. So that is our one Excel sheet, which is, you can call it as a training set. So training set is what? Training set is basically a set which has got the input output pairs. So basically, for depending upon the values of these factors, if the values are satisfied and they are ranging in these values only, then the new crop which you are, a new field which you are trying to predict, that field will grow rice. So rice is the decision. If your factors are satisfying this condition, like the temperature is between 22 degree to 32 degree and the soil pH is between 6 to 7, soil is loamy, season is kharif, all these factors are satisfied, then you can grow the rice crop. So it is best to grow the rice. So if you see the right hand side table, depending upon the ideal values of different factors, you are predicting the crop, right? Now when a new image comes, okay, so when a new image of the farm comes, for example, farmer has uploaded his image, right? So what will happen is, that image would be taken in a JPEG format, right, by the farmer. It will be given, and it will be basically a JPEG format image, and it will be linked through the satellite, and the some factors for these soil pH, temperature, soil, rainfall, all these factors values would be extracted through the GIS imaging. That means from the satellite images, it is possible actually through certain softwares. There are certain softwares which are actually available, and these softwares are basically using geographical information imaging, geographic imaging, and they can basically get the values, or you can say retrieve the values of certain image based factors, like what is the soil pH, what is the groundwater level, what is the soil depth, what is the land type. All these can be extracted from the image itself, right? So what will happen is when the farmer will give the image of the crop, image of the farm, then on the left hand side, whatever Excel sheet you are seeing, just see the left hand side table. That is not, that is an Excel sheet actually. I have pasted it as a table, so that's why I am calling it as an Excel sheet. But just if you see the left hand side table, that left hand side table is the extracted values from internet and from GIS imaging, okay, for that particular farm, of whose image the farmer is uploading. So if the farmer is uploading the image of a particular farm, then that image is being linked to the satellite image, and then the values of these factors are extracted. Now what we have basically a data of some particular image, and these are the, on the left hand side we have the values of those factors which we have extracted from the image, right? And on the right hand side we have the default values of the factors required for various crops which we have stored in our database. Now what we have to do, can anybody guess now what, in order to predict which crop is best to grow on this particular crop, which farm which is indicated on the left hand side? Anybody, can you guess now what we should do? Are you getting the concept, students? Whatever I'm trying to explain. Basically, till now I have explained about the GUI only, and now I am telling you about what is the reasoning behind it, what is happening. Okay, yeah. So Anurag told the right answer. Basically, it's basically you have to, yeah, one answer from Abhishek also. Calculate a score based on the values of the farmer's land and get the best crop. Okay, fine. So Anurag and Abhishek both are basically going on the right track. So what they are suggesting is, see, on the left hand side we have an Excel sheet for which is basically having the values of the input farm, values of the factors for the input farm, and on the right hand side you have the values, ideal values for those factors, right? For growing rice, for growing wheat, and so on. So suppose you want to see whether rice can be grown or not on this particular farm. So what you will do is you will compare the values of this particular table on the left hand side with the rice data, right? And if you want that whether wheat can grow or not, you will compare it with the wheat data and so on, right? So now this is basically a part of your this is basically a reasoning process. So actually you need an algorithm which can compare both the tables, right? You need some kind of technique or something which can compare these tables. So now let's go to the next snapshot. So now what you will do is you will select the algorithm for comparison. So this is basically your next thing, which is basically predicting which algorithm you should use for comparing the two tables. Okay. Now you have different options here also. So so students, you might not know these algorithms, so don't just worry about these algorithms, because this is this is one of my projects. So it is basically some research work only. So it's not that you will be able to understand all these algorithms also, but just you can just you can try to understand the concept only. That is one concept which I just want to explain to you. So there are three options actually here. So what is the thing which I want to tell you over here is that there is an algorithm which you call as BBO, biogeography based optimization. Then there is another algorithm which you call as hybrid of PBO and BBO. PBO is basically plate tectonics based optimization. BBO is biogeography based optimization. And then there is another hybrid of PBO and Adams. So this is a hybrid of plate tectonics based optimization and Adams optimization. So these are three optimizers basically, right? And optimizers means it is some technique only which is using some kind of heuristics, right? Every optimizer uses some heuristics, and what the aim is, it tries to minimize or maximize. Since it's an optimization algorithm, it will try to minimize the error between the predicted output and the actual output, right? And or it will try to maximize the performance, or you can say accuracy, right? For example, this is a classification application. You are trying to classify that which crop is good for this particular farm, right? So basically you can say that your accuracy you want to improve of classification, so you can say it's a maximization problem. So any optimization algorithm which you'll try to maximize in this case. So here you have three algorithms, right? And just for the sake of you making it more user friendly, we have also indicated that which algorithm has what characteristics. So PBO Adams hybrid has got, it is faster in speed, it has got good convergence, it has a much higher accuracy, average error rate. And if you see the second one, PBO BBO hybrid, it has got medium speed and low error rate. So basically, if you want a low error rate, you should select this PBO BBO hybrid. If you want a fast speed, you should select PBO Adams hybrid, and so on. So the farmer may not understand all these things. So this is just for telling a particular person who is a literate person and educationalist that which algorithm to select. Either this can be done, or this may be a part of GUI, or it may not be a part of GUI, but of course it's an important step to select the algorithm for comparison. Fine. Now after selecting this algorithm for comparison, it will compare the two tables, and finally we go to the next one. So it will give you the list of favorable crops for your field. So you just see in the middle there is a some crops are predicted like rice, maize, cotton, wheat, and moong. So 5 crops are favorable for your field. So it has predicted 5 crops. So basically everything has happened on the back end. We don't need to worry about that. Okay. So everything has happened on the back end only. The algorithm functioning, the functioning of that algorithm, suppose you selected this one, this PBO BBO hybrid, because you wanted a low error rate, so you wanted a high accuracy, so you had selected PBO BBO hybrid, let us say. So whatever functioning is there, it will do it at the back end, and it will compare the two tables through some heuristic function. So that heuristic function it has chosen on its own. So that is the algorithm's characteristic, that it how it will compare and how it will predict the accuracy. But finally what you will get is this favorable crops. Now you can also select from here that if you want the crops yield wise or profit wise. So click on yield to know the list of crops based on yield. If you click on profit, you will get the list of crops based on profit. So finally you can get the crops based on yield. So based on yield, your priority list is cotton is the highest, then rice, then wheat, then maize, then moong. And based on profit, that means based on the market value, you can say that cotton is the highest there also, but then after cotton, moong is coming. If you based on yield, then after cotton, rice is coming. But if you list the crops based on market value, after cotton, moong is coming, right? So the list has changed actually. Fine. And then you have another option. If you see the red sentence, click here to find the crop recommendation list for other district. So you can go here to the other district also from here, and then you will go back to the same GUI again, and then you will basically submit some other district, and it will give you the data for that also. Yeah, so the result would be different if different algorithm is used. Correct. So basically, if you want, see, it is written over here that which algorithm has got what characteristics, right? So if you select BBO, some characteristics would be there in the results. If you select PBO, BBO hybrid, it will have medium speed, right? But a low error rate. So if you want a highly accurate algorithm, you should select PBO BBO hybrid. So it will give you a very high accuracy. So that means whatever prediction it will make, that will be a very good prediction. That means if it is telling that it is rice, then that means rice is the best crop to grow there. But if you select PBO BBO hybrid, PBO Adams hybrid, that means the third one, it is having an average error. So that means the prediction might not be very accurate. So if it is saying rice, it may be the correct one, it may, or it may not be the very best crop also to grow. But if you select PBO BBO hybrid, it has got a very low error rate. So depending upon the characteristics of algorithm, you will basically select the different algorithms and get different results. But actually sometimes your priorities are different, right? You may actually want a high speed algorithm. You don't want to compromise on time. You want that within minutes you should get the decision. At that time you want a fast speed algorithm, so you would use the third one, PBO Adams hybrid. But if you want a medium speed result but your low error should be there, then you use second one like this. Okay. So finally what you get is, yes, so finally what you get is your favorable crops, and then also you have an option that you get the favorable crops based on yield. or based on profit market value. And there is an option to go back and select the select the district again, so you can again start the process and do it for some other district and for some other farm. So this is the whole project. Actually, this is a big project. It's a 3 years project, but in 3 years it will do this thing. So it's not just a small project which at undergraduate level people do. So that is why the targets are very high in this project. But just the idea about this project is that it is basically whatever I'm just showing you, right? So I'll mention the slides also. See here, students, these are basically, see, this is your main GUI. Okay, so this is your user interface of an expert system. Then if you see the last ones, crops based on yield and crops based on market value, right? And this is your favorable crops. This is again a part of your GUI, but this is actually forming your knowledge base, right? Basically you're getting this, and this will also become your knowledge base, because whatever you are generating, that if it is a right decision, you will match it, and if the error rate is very low, then it will also become a part of your knowledge base, and it will be used to enhance your training set or your knowledge base, right? And then, so this is basically your knowledge base finally which you are getting, and this is your inference engine. This Excel sheets when you are developing and when you are choosing the algorithms, this is basically your main inference engine of the expert system. Okay, so this is basically a you can say a high level expert system which I have just shown you, but you can build some simpler expert systems also. So are you able to understand this, students? Are you able to get an idea about how it looks? What is an expert system, how it looks like, what it does actually? Are you able to get? Okay, all of you, please ask if anything you want to discuss in this project. Anything about this project? Values like pH. Okay, so 1 minute. See, one student is asking how are these pH values we are getting, right? So basically, this is, as I told, be able to understand and just one all the domain knowledge you might not have also, but I'll tell you. So basically for pH we use some softwares. That is a software which we call as ArcGIS. ArcGIS is a software. Just see the chat box, students. So this software is basically used to calculate the values of some image based factors, like what is the soil pH. So it will just see the soil quality from basically it will have the satellite image of the soil, and from the satellite image, based upon the pixel values of the image and in different wavelengths we capture. Okay, so that is basically all related to satellite imaging. So that is all related to remote sensing. If anybody of you has any idea about remote sensing, then you will understand this surely. But it's not a part of your course, so I'm not insisting upon that you should understand this. Okay. So basically, there is a software which we call as ArcGIS. It takes the input image, the satellite image, and then it retrieves the values of these factors from the image itself. Okay. So that's how we do it, and this is so basically at this point of time you may not be able to understand that how we have. Yeah, so the question is very obvious question. How can an image tell about the pH, right? So that question is basically that again, as I told you, this software is there, ArcGIS software, and we capture the data in different wavelengths. Okay, different wavelengths means different information about the image. Some see when you capture a satellite image, this all remote related to remote sensing, students. Okay, so please don't confuse yourselves, but I'll just explain. So basically every satellite image can be viewed in different wavelengths. Okay, and each wavelength represents the information differently about the image. For example, in some wavelength, if you capture the image, it will tell you about the height. Suppose there is a hill coming, then it will tell you that pixel value of the image. That will tell you that what is the height of that pixel. So that means it will tell you whether it's a hilly region or a plain region. Okay, similarly there could be some other wavelength which will tell you the pixel. If you view the image in that wavelength, then the pixel value in that wavelength, that pixel value of the image will tell you that what kind of nutrition it is having. Okay, so depending upon that, depending upon the gray level value. The gray level value will be between 0 to 255, but it will tell you that depending upon that value, it will, depending upon the wavelength in which you are capturing, it will tell you that information about different factors. Okay, so this is all related to remote sensing. When you, if anybody of you plans to do some project in remote sensing, then you can let me know. And anybody of you who wants to do it in remote sensing as a final year project, or any image processing application, then definitely I'll tell all these things in details to you. But it is out of the scope of this course. That's why I'm not going into the details of all that extraction process. Is it okay, Nitin? Or you want me to explain anything more? Okay, fine. So anybody of you, if who is interested in any of these works, they can contact me later, and for final year project we can go ahead with this, because artificial intelligence is my research area. I work in AI only, so I can help you a lot. If you want any sort of discussion or any help, or you want to do, then we can go ahead with this. But for now, just I wanted to give you some glimpse about what an expert system is, so that you people don't get confused and don't think that something in the air is going on. It's not going in the air. It's all very practical. Okay, so it's all very practical. We are using everything, just the names are like that. Okay, it's a normal software only serving a special purpose. So that is why we are calling it as an expert system. Fine. So, students, one thing I would like to tell you is that this is one of my research projects which I have submitted to Government of India, and it got approved. So, this project is not yet over. So, when I'll upload the slides, I just wanted to tell you for helping purpose only. So, I'll remove these slides and I'll not upload these slides on Google Classroom. Okay. So just for your information, I was telling you so that you get an understanding, but this is not meant for public information. So I'll remove these slides while uploading on Google Classroom. Okay, just this thing I just wanted to tell you. Is it okay with you all? Anything you want to discuss, students? Okay, so then let me summarize our discussion. So all about the expert systems we have taken, the basics also we have taken, and then we have taken some very latest things. So this is a project which is of 2020 only, last year only, right? This project was last year submitted by me only. So this is the latest version. And so this gives you an example of the latest expert system. I'm not talking about anything which was done in 20 years past. It is the last year thing only, right? Okay, yes, students, if you are interested in anything, or if you want to know further, then you are most welcome. You can come to meet me. I think your batch is also coming offline on 15 March, right? 15 March, you are coming to the campus. Yes, so you are most welcome. You can meet me in my office, and then we can discuss more about this, because it's actually it's going to start. So by next semester everything will be done, and it will be it's going to start. Basically, it's in the some work I have already done, and then some work will be done in the next semesters. So if anybody of you is interested, then you are most welcome. Yeah, Nitin, you can come and meet me, or otherwise we can discuss on phone also. Fine. So that is one thing. And then let me summarize all the discussion which we did today. So expert system is basically an intelligence system, right? It's a group of instructions which can output a result using the knowledge embedded in it, right? Now, knowledge, basically, there are different knowledge representation techniques. We have done that also. Okay. So knowledge representation techniques means how do you represent and organize the knowledge in the knowledge base. So as I told you, there are three important components of an expert system. The first component is your user interface, then your knowledge base, and then your inference engine, right? So knowledge base is basically two types of knowledge you store in that: heuristic knowledge and algorithmic knowledge. So algorithmic knowledge is basically the knowledge which is your based upon your facts which are existing. Then heuristic knowledge is based upon what you are deducing, your rules. Based upon the rules, you are deducing some new knowledge. So that is heuristic knowledge. And then in knowledge acquisition process, your knowledge is basically independent, and it should be separate from the inference engine. So that means your control program. So if you make a modification to the knowledge base, you should not basically recompile your control program. You should not recompile. Your algorithm should be independent of the database of knowledge. So this is very important actually, and that is why this inference engine you are calling is an expert system shell. Shell means anything it's customizable basically, right? Not customizable. Basically, it's independent. It's independent. So that's why you're calling it as an expert system shell, because you can fill it in any knowledge or any information base you can fill. Then there are different learning methods. We have studied 5 types of learning: learning by memorizing, learning by induction, learning by deduction, right? Then rote learning. So all these types of learning we have studied. And as I told you, there are 2 important components: inference engine and knowledge base. And there were various expert systems like Mycin, Dendrel, Shine, Fuzzy Clips, OpenKB, and KBM, and eGanges. And then agriculture application, I have explained to you in detail. So agriculture example, why I have taken it, because when I was presenting this in the for funding to the government, then at that time I had noticed many projects in the agriculture domain. So that is why and then we did a literature survey also to find out that what is the latest applications going on. So at that time I found that agriculture is a very interesting application, and it is a application which is doing good for society also, right? For farmers it is doing good. So that is why I have tried to explain this agriculture application to you in detail, because it's the latest one. This you won't find in your textbook, students. So that is why please refer to these slides, and anything, if you have a doubt, you can ask me and discuss. In the next class we will discuss about I'll start some things about natural language processing, and one class, students, I will take on the latest topics in AI and ML, because I don't want you to just go about the textbook knowledge, because this textbook is actually 20 years old and AI is growing very fast. So I'll tell you some things about what is going in the recent things. Okay, so one class I'll take on that one, maybe tomorrow or otherwise the last class. So in that class I'll tell you about the latest things which are going on, so that it will be helpful to you if you anybody of you wants to take some final year project or anything. Basically, if you want to do some course in ML, and even it will help you in your interviews also for final year. So then one class I'll take for the latest applications, and natural language processing is left, that we will do. So this is expert systems is over for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Divya, are you there? Okay, I think Divya is not there. Vaibhav, are you there? Any CR is there? Okay, otherwise anybody can take attendance. Nitin, are you there? Can you take attendance? Yeah, Nitin, please take attendance. Done? Okay, thank you, Nitin. Please mail me the attendance. Fine. Thank you, students. Thank you so much. We'll meet tomorrow for our regular class, 11 o'clock. Thank you, all of you.